Hi there. Inference is a skill that you need for all competitive exams. They'll give you a passage and there'll be questions or MCQs on inference. What is inference? Inference is what is unstated and unsaid. It is reading between the lines for meaning. All those things that have not been stated, that is inference. We use inference in everyday lives, don't we? We infer by looking at people, we infer their financial status, or we infer their education. We infer many things about people. We might be wrong often, but we do infer. We infer a lot from what a politician is saying in his campaign, or we might advertisements use inference in order to create desirability. So, inference is everywhere. And in Empowering English, we teach this skill very, very seriously. It's not just one question that occurs somewhere here or there, but it's something that we use very deliberately and very consciously in order to get children to see inference whenever they meet it, either in a text or how to use it in their own writing. So, whenever we teach something, we use the text as a mentor that will then teach you how to write. That's the flip side. Reading and writing are two flip sides of the same coin, and that needs to be taken very seriously. So, I want us to look at a skill, in a very critical skill today, because it's a very important skill starting from first impressions to a lot of emotional responses that we might create in people. Whether people like you or don't like you often depends upon the kind of impressions that we create that are not always rational. They are often gut feelings. And what are gut feelings but inferences that you are making by instinct? You're just getting insights into the way in which people are or could be without really thinking about it. So, it bypasses the rational brain. And therefore, it becomes a very important part of critical thinking. When you can recognize that flaw, when you can recognize your tendency to make those assumptions, that is where logical reasoning happens. And every exam under the sun after your 12th is full of logical reasoning. Therefore, you need to start moving out of your old textbooks and start doing Empowering English. This is the switch you need to make. Empowering English series goes from grade 1 to grade 8. It's based on Berner's spiral curriculum, and therefore there is a repetition of skills that happen. Today I want to take you through a chapter that is called body language. Body language, as you know, is very important. Body language is that which tells you that a person is worried or shy or angry or manipulative. You can look at their eyes or their lips or their hands or the way they stand, the way they move their legs. There are so many ways in which body language communicates more than what is actually being said. And therefore, body language becomes a very important intelligence that must be a part of critical thinking. So, here we are, and we are using that in order to create descriptions for the writing that children do. We are using it as a skill to read novels and books and texts so that we understand what the character is all about. we are using it to find out what the intentions of the writer are. Is he manipulating us with his words? Is he doing something that is extremely devious in order to make us act in a certain way? That is what body language is all about. So let's look at body language and how we talk with our whole bodies, with our clothes and with the objects that surround us, and how we respond to this. There is a lot of wisdom in this kind of education. So if you look at the page that is flashing there, using body language to describe people, the blurb again tells you using body language to describe emotional states. All emotions should not be described by stating it. So don't tell me he is angry, that is boring. Check your own students' writing and see if they are saying things. The show, don't tell applies. We do this over several years. The show don't tell will have happened in an earlier class. Now you are doing this. In the next class you will do connotations. So it goes on like that. So the child has a spaced repetition of ideas that then become permanent and automatic when they read or write or think, and therefore their thinking is superior. Participating in exercises that show emotions and language, language development and description. So this is what we have used this chapter for. So the most important quality of a writer is the ability to observe people and life. You find characters for your stories by observing people around you. The smiling corner shop attendant, the grouchy taxi driver, the pompous looking industrialist in his Mercedes Benz, and so on. All of them are characters for your story. So we encourage our children to observe. It is easier to describe people, what people are doing with their hands or chewing their lips or picking their noses, than to talk about what do they look like. You get banal descriptions, but if you describe like this, they become fabulous. So for example, if you look at that example, it says, suddenly his color changed to a shade of reddish purple. His eyes narrowed, his nose flared. He looked like a bull that was about to charge at its victim. By now you already know what his emotions are, because I have read it out to you without saying the word. No words came from his lips. His chest seemed to swell with a suppressed emotion. He looked ready to burst. So I'm sure all of you know which emotion this man is going through. And the task for you is some emotions to emote. So what are the emotions to emote? You can do a lot of role play and acting of emotions and body language in order to show. So if I give you a little card that says shy, you will have to show shyness rather than say I'm shy. And when you show shyness, your classmates will describe you, and I will script it as a teacher on the board and have a description of what they are saying. And then we'll look at it together and ask, did we do an accurate description? Or you might say, no, he was a poor actor. It could be anything, but we have an active participatory class doing descriptions, haven't we? So do role play of emotions and make a list of movements. So what are the various parts that are moving when you show shyness? What are your shoulders like, and what's your body language like, and what are your hands doing, and what are your eyes doing, etc. The second task is choose two other emotions from the list. So you've got a list of emotions, you've got contempt, sadness, frustration, tiredness, madness, hunger, silliness, shyness, etc. You've got plenty of emotions given there by describing body language. So you don't tell them what the emotion is, you just describe. Now you're using words, you're not using actions, and the other person has to tell you which emotion you are describing. For example, shyness. She blushed red and her eyes kept her eyes on the edge of her toes that she dug gently into the soft mud. She wished she could hide. So nowhere have we told you the emotion, but we've just shown you this girl standing and looking at her toes. Now you have to tell us what her emotion was all about, and of course the answer is shyness. So this is a small little chapter that I've just shown you to see how body language is created in order to describe characters, and that's exactly what children will be doing whenever they write a story in the future or whenever they read a text where there is a person who has an emotion but where the writer has not expressed it explicitly. And that's a very, very important skill. You will get 100% support, you have a teacher manual, you have teacher questions you can have through the year, and that amounts to free teacher training. So switch to Empowering English instead of your old textbook, which will not have any of these skills. If you don't believe me, go and look at your books from 1 to 10 or 1 to whatever, and you will check out whether you've got body language in any of them. Check out whether any of these skills that I'm talking to you about, inference, is given in any of your books as explicitly as this, and whether your children are practicing those skills. If you want to make that big change and that big leap and make your future citizens absolutely strong, give me a call on the number that's flashing there and I will tell you more. So, till I get your call, I'll see you.